Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this third Q&A clinic for the Product Management Service Product User Interface. As we have done in the past 2 weeks, we are here today to respond to your questions on the systems use. I'm Caterina Scarpati from PMS Change Management team. And today here I have with me Veronica Lipucci Di Paola, PMS product owner from EMA, and Dino Sumpazis, PMS product owner from Network. So just some housekeeping rules before we start. Please note that this session is being recorded and we'll make the recording available on EMA YouTube channel and on event webpage. In order to ask your questions, you will be able to use the interaction tool Slido. We'll give you details about that just now. So you can join Slido either going to slido.com, inserting the code PMSQA3, or simply scanning the QR code you see here. When you join Slido, you are able to either enter your questions, or you can also look at the ones that have already been asked and vote by just pressing the button, the like button, the ones that you would like to get answered, because we will answer questions in starting from the most voted ones. So you can start inserting your questions, and in the meantime, we can start answering. We already have one question, which is how to align the data related to active substance and strength as per IDMP harmonization, but XCVMPD has different approach for validating the data as per SMPC. Shall we do an harmonization as per Model 3 and SMPC, but SMPC is not aligned?
So thank you for the question, colleagues. If you had the chance to read chapter 2 in the section 5, and in the new version will be section nominated section 6, we specify that in case of substance composition, so the metal structures, you should be, of course, referring to section 2 of the SMPC in case of to explain the quantitative and qualitative composition, but also in section 6.1 in case you have also exceedance. Now, the question now today is focused on the active ingredients, and there is a need because we are aware that, of course, the information SMPC should be as much as aligned as possible to the module 3. So the ideal approach will be that the information that you have in both documentation can be as much aligned as possible. When this is not the case, because we do recognize there might be differences, the proposal and the recommendation will be in first hand to refer to the module 3, but also in second chance to try to align as much as possible the documentation. Thank you. I don't know if my colleagues from XMPD wants to add anything on the validation approach.
Well, from my side, I just wanted to say what you have already stated, that data in XCVMPD and in module 3 should be aligned, but then for the moment you need to submit the data as in the SMPC because it's the only way that we have to validate this information in XCVMPD.
Okay, thank you, Marcos and Veronica. Next, for caps in PMS, all the manufacturers are listed in the medicinal product manufacturers section, but they are not linked in the ingredients section and in the packaged medicinal product manufacturers sections. Is this correct?
So, no, it's not correct, but there is an explanation behind. So let me give you a bit of background. For the sake of the go live of the PY, we have decided to make available all the manufacturer's information. Now, the way you can access this data in PY pages, it's indeed, as you mentioned, at the level of the medicinal products. The next releases in this year and through the year will be focused in making the relationship available between each manufacturer record. So for instance, if a manufacturer's an MBO activity is not deemed to be at the medicinal product level, but it should be referring to the active ingredients or to packaged medicinal products, in this case, the relationship will be made in place. This functionality is not yet available, so that's why you see everything under medicinal products.
Okay, thank you. Next, will there be a feature to extract all the data from PMS like the one for XCD-MPD?
So in PY, I assume you're referring to the PY feature. There is a way to export the data. Now, the way you can export this is based on medicinal product. If you click in and you look for your specific products in PY and you access the details, you can either extract all the information linked to that product or to specific pages. I do understand also your question is related to extracting, for instance, a bunch of products database or products data in just in one go. So in this case, you can only extract what is the results of the search functionality in the main area. So the step before. I don't know if Marcus, you want to complete the question from next MPD side.
Well, for me, the capability is already there. So you have a couple of reports. If you click on these dynamic reports, you are able to extract, for example, all your products for your organization, all the pack sizes, all the manufacturers. There is another report for ingredients. So there are different reports where you can extract this information. You can also adjust the filters and everything. So it's not as maybe as in XMPD, but you already have a couple of reports where you can extract a lot of information for all your products. So, and I think these reports are really, really useful. So you have the capability to export information. Maybe there are some missing information, like, I don't know, in the future devices or storage conditions and things like that. But the main reports with the main data is already there.
Okay, thank you. Next, regarding SMS, would you be so kind as to share when do you expect to finalize the SV flag 0 cleansing?
I'm afraid
SVG.
these requests should be submitted via ServiceNow at the attention of the SMS business team because we don't have this information.
Thank you. What documents will we have to upload in PMS for VMA to be able to QC the data?
So for the moment, none, because you cannot submit to PMS. The information is still to be submitted through XCDMPD. So for the moment, there is no document to be uploaded into PMS. Whenever we have a process to submit data to PMS and we require some documents, we will let you know. But for the moment, there is no document to be submitted.
Okay, thank you. View of UAG data fields such as 5.8.2 package item reference, 5.8.3 manufacturer item reference, etc.
Yeah, I think this question is not
Maybe.
completed.
Yes.
So
Yes, I think it's linked to something. Okay. So for splitting MP in package section, we update the first product in a package description section. And for all other packages, we insert a new product with other package packs.
yeah, so this information is again already included in chapter 3.2 of XCMPD, where it explains how to submit this package information in XCMPD. What you need to do is the first product that you have with, let's say in the package description, you would have all the pack sizes. You need to update this entry and change the package description to make the reference to only one pack size, for example, 20 tablets, and then submit as new the copy of this record, changing the package description, saying, okay, this is the 28, the 40, and the 50 tablets. You would have to submit these 3 new records, and we will validate this information. Again, I don't know if we have already said that, we will host a webinar second week of July to explain all the information that is needed on how to submit these pack sizes, giving tips to the applicants, etc. So you will receive a notification when we publish the date, the time, etc. of the webinar, and we will be giving a lot of information here.
Thank you. What should be done with the substances with SVG flag 0 that are used in XCBM PD?
So again, that we need to check with the SMS team. I think we might be able to replace and point to the preferred term or a new substance. But for the moment, I cannot give you any update here because this is something we need to discuss with the SMS team. But I will try to look for more information on this question.
Okay, thank you. What is your advice? Shall MAH submit data in XCBM PD already aligned as per IDMP harmonization, so substance therapeutic indication, despite the SMPC fluctuation?
So yes, but it's a bit weird. So indications, in principle, there shouldn't be any difference between IDMP and the structure that we have in XCBMPD. Substances, well, you might have the reference substance in the substance. You can follow the SMPC as well. The thing is, for example, for the authorized dose form or route of administrations, whatever you have in the SMPC might not be a standard term, an RMS term. And then the idea is that you have to follow an IDMP approach and select a term that is reflected in RMS. We are also performing a cleansing of this information. If you check the PMS, we have also mapped different route of administration and authorized those forms to the standard terms in RMS. So we are already following this approach. And as we have said in the PMS Info Day and in other webinars, you need to make sure that the data that you submit is as harmonized and as standard as possible, even though it's not as in the SMPC. So one example is, for example, there is an authorized dose form for some SMPC, which is rounded or a squared film coated tablet. You don't have to submit a squared film coated tablet in XCBMPD because that is not a standard term. You need to submit film coated tablets. We don't care if they are squared or rounded or whatever. The standard term is film coated tablets. So this is the approach that you need to follow in XCBMPD as well.
Thank you. In PMS-PY, currently, we are able to see CAPS data, but for EU. When will CAP data for the EAA countries become available?
Never. So with the SMEs, we have agreed that for centrally authorized products, we will only have one record for centrally authorized products, the one for that in XLMPD is assigned to the EU country. We are not following the XLMPD approach because in principle in PMS, we will have only one record for all the countries, the EU and EEA. We will update chapter 7 for this information, but yeah, the records from XCBMPD for Norway, Liechtenstein, and Iceland won't be migrated to PMS. That doesn't mean that you don't have to submit this information into XMPD. It is still mandatory, and we will validate those records, but they will never be propagated to PMS.
Thank you. Manufacturer's data will be inserted through XVMPD or PMS?
PMS, because we don't have manufacturer's data in XCMPD. So by the end of this year, beginning of the next year, we will open the PMS API and the product UI write capability, so you can submit this information for non-CAPs. Because for CAPs, we already have this information from SIAM.
Thank you. In the case of an MA transfer, does the previous MAH have to do any actions on PMS to transfer the product to the new MAH, or is this done automatically?
Again, no actions on PMS so far. Still, the processes must be done in XMPD as usual. So you just need to follow the XMPD approach, and we have different business rules to change the ME holder of the product in PMS to the new ME holder. But you need to follow the XMPD approach. Yeah.
Thank you. When can we expect the following fields to be available in the medicinal products section under the attached document section? Alternative identifier, identifier value, identifier system.
In principle, those fields, except the alternative attached document identifier, the identifier value in the system are there already. And actually, this week we solved the bug where these two fields were switched. So in principle, these values are already in the product UI. The only thing is that you are not able to see the documents. We have just migrated the identifier from XCDMPD. So these fields are already there.
Okay, thank you. PMS enrichment for ESMP. Can the SMP tool for managing shortages need the manufacturers available at ingredient and package level to work, or what is available now, medicinal product level only, will be enough?
Yeah, that's enough. So for the MVP, the minimum viable product to support the SMP, we agree with them that manufacturers' data will only be linked for the moment at medicinal product level.
Okay, thank you. Why an error message, which is something's wrong with one or more fields, is prompting when a dynamic product report is run for packages under all packages section?
Well, this is the first time we hear that, so I would suggest that you raise a ticket, please, in ServiceNow with a screenshot of the message and maybe the steps that you are following, so we can replicate the same and check if there is any issue. And if so, we can create a bug and fix the issue as soon as possible. Well, it's the first time that I hear that we are having this issue. So yeah, please raise a ticket.
Okay, thank you. The package description PMS field is taking its data from SAMET, while Chapter 7 indicates that it should be from XCVMPD. Is this normal, or will this be fixed?
Yeah, we need to fix it. I already said this in a couple of these sessions. We need to fix this field in Chapter 7 because for CAPS, the package description is coming from SIAM. So we will fix it.
Thank you. How should we update the indication in XCVMPD? Should we select the indication only and remove all what is about preventive and prophylaxis?
No, don't make those changes in XCMPD because for the moment this is needed for vigilance, and this is used on the pharmacovigilance side. Obviously, in PMS, you will have an indication that is prophylaxis or prevention or whatever. but we will request those changes in the future whenever PMS is used for pharmacovigilance or whenever we do these changes. But for the moment, this information should be captured in XCMPD.
Thank you. When will this Q&A be published, or how can we find all Q&A of June sessions? Thank you. So I can respond to that. So the recordings are under publication, while for a written Q&A, we will publish an FAQ document. So we will not publish the written responses to all questions from all Q&A clinics, but we will select the most frequently asked ones. Thank you. In PMS, under attached documents, when we are able to view, will that be limited to SMPC, or will Module 3 documents be available to support manufacturers' information?
So that's the discussions that we need to have. For the moment, what you will be able to see is the documents that you have submitted through XCMPD. So the SMPC, maybe the letter of authorization, if you have submitted that, any document that is submitted to XCMPD will be seen in PMS. Now, whenever we start requesting manufacturers or additional information, we need to discuss internally if we are requesting any type of documents, like, I don't know, 3 to P1 for the manufacturers or any document from Module 3, we need to discuss internally if those documents are needed. If so, you will be able to see also those documents in PMS. But for the moment, we have not discussed this part.
Thank you. Medical device description, etc., are not available in PMS PY. Why and when can they be available in PMS PY?
Device description. I would need to check, but in principle, we don't have this information.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
If I may, Marco,
Yeah.
thank you. No, indeed, medical device description is not a field that is coming from either SIAM or the vaccine NPD. So it will be subject to population map of enrichment of the products that has been launched.
Thank you. When the Section 9 of the SMPC is not updated for the authorized renewal date, and EMA made us chefs on data based on SMPC, which kind of document could be provided to validate the date submitted in XCVMPD?
You can submit the letter of authorization or the approval letter from the MCA where you have stated the renewal date. Any document like legal document where this information is stated can be submitted to XCVMPD, and the validation team will check the document and will be able to validate the product.
Okay, thank you. Which is the best course of action for excipients with an SVG flag equal to 0?
So I'm really sorry. This SVG flag 0, I will really check with the SMS team to check which is the approach on that, and we can maybe give an update on the next meeting that we have next week, the next clinic session, because I have no answer for this question. Sorry. So let's take a point and we can investigate further.
Thank you. Mentioned in Chapter 2, documents in scope are transfer of MA, certificate of suitability for transmissible spongiform encephalopathies, certificate of suitability, etc. When and where do you expect to have these documents used in PMS?
So, for your information, colleagues, those documents have been added to the PMS data model, and as you can see into Chapter 2, because those are referring to the substance composition. So these are the same fields that have been requested for the scope of supporting EAF web-based form. So where we do expect to reuse the data? So it will be made available in PMS upon the final approval during the EAF procedure.
Thank you. Dynamic report product number and products of my organization number is not matching. Any action required from MAH end?
Maybe you need to check the filters, because in some of them we have filters by default for the authorization status, like only show the valid ones. Maybe in the other one we have also non-valid. We have different filters there. So maybe you need to check first that you have the same filters applied. And otherwise, if you have checked that and it still is not matching, again, you can maybe raise a ticket and we can investigate. But make sure that you have the same filters in both places.
Thank you. So meantime, just to announce you that I've opened a short survey just to have your opinion on this session, if it was useful to understand better how to use the product UI. So please respond so that we can have a feedback from you. Thank you. Next question. XCVMPD enrichment for ESMP. My understanding is that the package description text will not be translated in structured content in PMS. Does it mean that as soon as there is a PRD for each pack size, the description is not very relevant?
No. In fact, the package description that you will submit to XCVMPD will be used by MCA to map these products to their national databases, and for some time it will be reflected in the ESMP reports, because this is the data that they will use. After, also because we need to validate this data and make sure that you are submitting the correct pack sizes. In the future, you will be able to update this package description in PMS with a structured data. So this will be more relevant. But for the time being, this package description is really important for you to be able to identify the pack sizes in in the SMP, until we have a structured data, and also for MCAs. So it's really, really important. And in the webinar, I will make sure that the information in this field is you submit a meaningful information.
Thank you. In SAMET, what is the source of truth for the package description? If it is not being taken from XCVMPD, which is the NCO approved labeled document?
So the thing is, the package description in XCVMPD is an optional field, and it's also free text. So sometimes for a lot of products and for a lot of caps, there is no data in this field because it's optional, and sometimes applicants are not submitting this information in XCVMPD. While in SciAmed, we have some fields like the content, the amount of those forms. We have a lot of fields where we have information on how many, for example, tablets or how many vials we have per presentation. So we decided that in order to have always a package description for caps, to concatenate the different fields from SciAmed. This way, we always have a package description in PMS for centrally authorized products. So that's why we decided to take this information from SciAmed and not from XCVMPD.
Thank you. Substance alignment. In Chapter 8, it's mentioned to use Module 3 details if SMPCs of NP are not aligned in the expression of strengths. How do we handle this when PMS strength, based on Module 3, is different than the SMPC for XCVMPD submissions?
So, sorry, I was reading better. So in chapter 8, we do not specify for differences based on the way the products are authorized, whether they are national or central. The goal will be to have.
Sorry, I could not hear the first sentence, Veronica.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great, sorry. So I was mentioning that in chapter 8, we do not clearly, we don't specify whether you should be using module 3 or SMPC based on the type of products as authorized. So whether it's a national procedure or authorized under centralized procedure, the same requirements applies for both of the types of products. So as I was mentioned before, the goal would be to have, of course, SMPC and module 3 on the matter of the substance composition as aligned as possible. Of course, there might be a situation where those are not aligned, so it's where you can rely on the module 3 because it should be the most up-to-date information available. And I do acknowledge that there might be differences because in XMPD, you, as far as I know, Marcos, please correct me if I'm wrong, the users are expected to submit data on the composition based on the SMPC, while in PMS, you can also use the module 3. In my view, there will be few differences, but those should be bypassed by the time the SMPC and the module 3 are as updated, as aligned as possible. So I hope I replied. Maybe Marcus, you want to complement from Article 57 database perspective.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened to my computer. I was not able to talk. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the thing is, the XMPD process is still the one that is ruling the data flow. So from XMPD, the data goes into PMS, and this is where then we consume the data. Until this process is not changed and we are not able to use, let's say, all the PMS functionalities and the IDMP structure, you need to follow XMPD rules. And therefore, you need to follow the SMPC. And then if there are discrepancies with module 3, we might solve this in the future. We also need a broader discussion with all the network on how to reduce these discrepancies between SMPC, module 3, etc. But for the moment, the SMPC is the document that we consider as the source of truth because it's the only one that we have access to. In the future, NCAs will have access to module 3 and PMS and the EAF, and the full data flow will be a bit different. But for the moment, the data in the SMPC is the one that we consider as the source of truth.
Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, our time for today is over, but please note that next week we will have the last Q&A clinic. Thank you very much, Marcos, Veronica, for responding to all the questions. And we will have the recordings published really soon. And as said, we will collect the most frequently asked question in the FAQ, but we will publish in July. Thank you.